When we first bought our winter home here in Florida, a lot of you suggested that maybe while we're gone this summer, we could rent it out, and that would help to defray some of the costs we had with having another home down here.
Right. And we really seriously looked at that. We crunched some numbers. And let me tell you what we decided and why we decided that. Well, hey, everybody. I'm Bill.
And I'm Elizabeth. Live simple.
Live free. Renting out our house. Airbnb being our house. Before I talk about our monthly expenses, because we have double monthly expenses because we have a house here and a house in Virginia. So we need to cover those. But let me go give a little bit of background first.
Yeah, some of you may be new enough that you don't know about that.
What?
Some of you may be new enough
yeah.
that you don't know about that.
So when we first started looking at Florida, we just wanted to be snowbirds, and we had an RV, and we wanted to come down here every winter for a few months. And
Get me out of the cold.
And we had all kinds of problems. We had vehicle problems. We broke down on the road. It was a disaster. And we couldn't find places to park the RV. You can't just go into an RV park for the winter down here.
No.
You got to make reservations a year in advance, and many of them only have a 14-day limit, that sort of thing.
We were kind of, I think, understandably naive that we could take our RV, come down here for months at a time, and just, camp in different places or whatever. But generally, Florida is very popular, and I'm telling you, it's booked.
Yeah.
Florida is booked.
And so instead, we started thinking about selling the RV and buying a house. And a lot of you said, rightly so, that if you just want to be a snowbird, buying a house is a much more expensive way to do it than coming down here with the RV every year. And it is. But
if you can work out a way to come down here every year.
But that wasn't our goal. See, yeah, we wanted to be here in Florida, but we had some money in the bank that we needed to invest.
Yeah.
And we were talking about investing it in another home, a rental property up in Virginia. So we decided instead to invest that money into this house here in Florida.
Yeah.
And so it's not like just we were trying to figure out a way to come down here. We had money we had to do something with anyway, so we bought this home as an investment. So,
And I tell you, when it's time to come down, because I truly have to get out of the cold winter up there. When it's time to come down.
She can't breathe in the cold.
Yeah, it's leftover lung damage from COVID. I am so grateful to know that rather than trying to make arrangements every year and hope you can get a place and wondering what the accommodations are going to be and is our vehicle going to be working to haul the trailer, all these different things, we just come down here to our own little house and everything's settled and situated. I just come in and I'm home.
We hardly even have to pack anything. I don't even pack any clothes. I just wear what I'm wearing because I come down here because I got a complete set of clothing at each place. She's a little more complicated.
Yeah, I have clothing I want to take back and forth. I can't just get by with some T-shirts and shorts as easily as he can.
So we decided to buy this house, and we're so glad we did. We absolutely love it here.
Yeah.
But then once we got here, see, when we first started looking at Florida, I don't know about you, but I didn't even realize that Florida does not have state income tax.
No, I didn't know that.
And we discovered it very quickly when we were looking down here. So here's the cool thing now. A lot of you are worried about us covering the monthly expenses for both houses. As soon as we discovered that Florida has no state tax, we immediately changed our residency to Florida.
Officially, legally.
And we got Florida driver's license and all that, Florida banks, everything. And so in order to do that, we have to be in Florida at least 6 months and 1 day every year.
Which we exceed that.
And we do more than that. Now, I think if we were just a Florida resident and we decided to travel for 9 months and we were out of the state, I don't think that would be a problem. The problem is when you have two homes, and if we spent 5 months here and 7 months in Virginia, then it would be a question of where we really live.
Yeah. We want to be very legitimately residents of Florida, and we've been pretty careful about that.
So here's the bottom line. The tax savings in the state income tax by moving to Florida is enough to pay all of the monthly expenses on this house. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
so
incredible.
we're not paying double expenses.
And, one thing that, of course, makes a massive difference is that the house is completely paid for.
Right, sure.
So,
That's because we had the money that we wanted to invest, so we're not paying a mortgage.
Right, yeah, the house is paid for.
Now, if we would decide to move back to Virginia, which will probably happen at some time in the future as we get older, because all of our kids and our family are up there, and we have really we have friends down here, but we don't have any relatives.
Yeah, the time will come when we'll just be back up there again.
Who knows how long that'll
Yeah,
in the future that'll be, but
hopefully a while.
anyway, when we do that, we go back to Virginia. We'll have to pay this Virginia taxes again. I'm very happy right now to be a Florida resident.
Now, one of the decisions that we made with all of this was that if you have something you no longer have to pay, it can be really easy for that money to just sort of like begin to blend into the pot. I mean, you just, you're not paying it anymore, but then it gets blended into other expenses. And after a while, you're not really sure what happened to the extra money, kind of thing. It can happen so easily. So when we realized that we were not going to be paying the income tax, the state income tax anymore, I have a spreadsheet. Bill does all of our business bookkeeping, and I do our personal bookkeeping. And so on the spreadsheet, I actually have a category for the money that we would have been paying for the tax. And I go ahead and I set that money aside. And by doing that, then we have the extra we need when we need it to make sure and cover some of the expenses that have to be doubled because we have two houses. Right. So it's very nice to have that there. I see how much we have. It's not going to other things, so that I know it's going to always be there to help make sure we're covering both homes.
Now, we are self-employed. We have been for many years, so we don't have our taxes withheld in our paycheck.
No, none of them.
We have to withhold it ourselves. So every month, every time a paycheck comes in, she takes the designated amount for federal and the designated amount for state and puts it into a separate account. So she's still putting the designated amount for the state into that separate account, but then instead of sending it to the state of Virginia, we can use it to pay the bills here.
Yeah, it's there when I need it.
Right.
So, yeah, it's that has worked out actually really, really well.
Right. So, should we rent it down here? Well, first of all, let's talk about some of the expenses that we have.
Some of the things that, no matter if the house is paid for or not, you're going to have to double up on.
And these are things that we're duplicating because we have two houses.
Right.
The first one, the big one I want to talk about, is property taxes. Now, a lot of people, I know a lot of people are going to ask, so our property taxes last year were...
Oh, Kenny. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I caught her off guard.
It's okay, I've got it written down here. Okay, our property taxes last year were $1,161.
Okay, $1,100.
Yep.
Now...
Yeah, I was just going to say, that is not probably really reflective of a lot of Florida. We don't have expensive property taxes up here.
It's because our houses are not expensive. We're
Right.
in North Florida where the houses are less than half the value of further south.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we not only do we love it up here, but as soon as you get like south of Gainesville or get closer to the coast, the houses go up.
They go up 3 times what they're valued here,
Yeah,
including the property taxes.
So I just want to let you know that is our legitimate property tax here, but many places in Florida are considerably higher.
Now, Florida has something called the homestead exemption, and if the homestead is what you claim as your primary residence.
Yeah, that's just where you actually are resident.
So if you have a home and a rental, then you could get the homestead exemption on your primary home, but not on the rental property. And the homestead exemption, I heard this statistic recently. Now I forget what it was. It's like they knocked like 40% off the normal tax bill, something like that. So it's not eliminated taxes; it's just lowering taxes for your primary home.
Well, and another thing it does is it helps protect you from huge tax increases.
Right. It can only go up by 3% per year, I believe.
Yeah,
it is.
it's something to keep you from suddenly having a huge increase. Florida is so extremely popular for people to come down here for vacations or to snowbird, to winter down here. And so the government, we appreciate the Governor DeSantis so much because they have tried to make things still workable for actual people who live here.
Right.
And, so they're trying to make it so that you can still afford to live here because many people have had generations of just living in Florida just as their home.
Right.
And, we're not in a touristy area. We are in cattle and lumber country, so family farms for generations around here.
Now, some of you may have heard that DeSantis is trying to eliminate property taxes. And that's true. And he's pushing really hard for it. He really wants it. But quite honestly, I don't know if that's actually going to happen, because in order for that to happen, it has to go on the ballot. And then in November, we vote on it, because it's going to be an amendment to the Constitution. So we have to have 60% approval rating from the residents of Florida. I think we would get that if it was on the ballot. Here's the problem. There are quite a few rhinos in the
That's
state,
Republicans in name only.
in the state Senate in Tallahassee, that don't want it. And so they're giving lip service to it. I don't even know if you've heard all of this. They're giving lip service to it. And they're saying, yes, let's do let's eliminate property taxes. There's many different ways we could do that. So they're putting out 7, and last I heard, 7 different proposals of how you can do that.
Well, that just confuses everybody.
And so they're going to put all 7 of those on the ballot, which means it's going to completely split the vote, and not one of them will get 60%. And that's absurd. I mean, there has to be just one. Should we eliminate property tax? Yes or no, instead of 7. So I'm very skeptical that this is actually going to happen. But Ron DeSantis is pushing for it really hard.
There are states that don't have property tax, and they do fine.
Yeah.
Florida's got a lot of resources for income, and so it would be this is a state where it would be reasonable to be able to do that. And
Well, and also the homestead exemption. He's only talking about eliminating it for homesteads.
yeah, for people that's their primary home.
All businesses pay full tax. All rental properties pay full tax. All, are you ready for this? Airbnbs pay full tax.
Sure, because it's a business.
And so by eliminating the homestead exemption, only 30% of the income, of the revenue that the state gets from property tax, comes from homestead. So they would still be getting 70% of their revenue from property taxes.
Yeah. This is definitely we know this state is just heavy into all sorts of rentals and Airbnbs and vacation areas, and of course,
So that's the property tax. At this point, we're paying it, and I'm expecting we probably will still continue to pay it.
Now, I also want to say that I set that money ahead. I have a certain amount. I figured out what I'm going to have to pay out for taxes, and I divide it by 12 and add a little bit just in case, and I put that in the bank in a special column every month.
Yeah, she budgets out everything and pays everything ahead, so that in the bank, so that it's there when it's due.
Yeah, so it comes due, I just go and I'm able to pay it. Yeah.
So also now we have insurance. And what are we paying for insurance? Insurance in Florida is expensive because of the hurricanes, but we are not in a flood zone. We're not in a hurricane surge area, but it's still expensive because hurricanes could still rip roofs off of houses and stuff.
Well, we've had 3 of them since we bought the house.
So what are we paying for insurance?
Our insurance right now is right at $1,500.
$1,500 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now there's also it's cheaper for a homestead than it is for a rental property.
Yeah, the insurance is always going to be more expensive if it's commercial property.
Right.
But yeah, and that's actually not as bad as I would have expected. It could be down here. It's considerably more than we have in Virginia. But this state just gets so many natural disasters that it's understandable. And this insurance, by the way, is given some help and support by the state government,
Right.
so that people can manage to afford to keep their houses insured.
So then our other monthly expenses, typical things, utilities, we have water and electric. Internet, we have to keep internet going here year round because we have security cameras that we would see from our phones. And when we're away for a couple of months, we want to be able to see what's going on here. So we have the internet year round. We also have to do the Ring cameras. So that's a subscription that we do monthly.
Yeah. It's not real expensive, but we pay it monthly so that the cameras are all active.
Lawn care, we have to have somebody mow the lawn because we're not here to do it in the summer.
Right.
And then the trash. Now the trash we can cancel when we're gone. So that's
They're real sweethearts about that.
we can turn it off and on.
Yeah, but that is when we're here. That is, we pay for trash in Virginia and for trash
Right.
here. Yeah.
So what are all of our expenses? Our utilities, water and electric, our insurance, our property tax, internet, lawn care, Ring cameras, and our trash. So
That's stuff you can't avoid.
So what would happen if we turned it into an Airbnb during the summer? Well, first of all, we would lose our homestead exemption with the property taxes. which means our property tax would go up. I'm not sure, 30 or 40%, whatever that.
I don't know.
Exemption
My main
is.
thing I know is it protects you from surges in your property tax.
Right, and our insurance would also go up.
Yep.
Our electricity would also go up because right now in the summer when we leave, I set the air conditioner at 85 just to try to keep the humidity down a little bit.
Yeah.
And if we had people here, they would be keeping it more like 75, or who knows, renters, they might keep it at 70 or 68.
Well, sure.
So our electricity would go up because people are living here.
Well, and one of the things is that it turns out, of course, because we're not in Virginia when the winter is really cold. So up there, we just turn our heat down to like 40 and just make sure the pipes don't freeze. In fact, this last winter was so cold, our son went and just winterized the house.
You drain the pipes.
Drained the pipes
Because
all
we
out.
had like down below zero and they were expecting power outages.
Yeah. So anyway, but that we don't tend to pay to heat that house very much, and we're not there. And then we're here, where in the winter the air conditioning is just not as needed, and we just have sometimes we have heat. It just depends, but we don't have to have the amount of air conditioning that you need here in the summer.
Right.
So we for the heat of Florida or the cold of Virginia, we're not there. And so we don't tend to be in the house during the really expensive utility months.
Though we need it right now here in Florida. This is the first day this spring that it's hitting 90 degrees. So I'm glad to have the air conditioning. It's only going to get hotter from here. So
Oh, yeah, hotter and more humid.
we're about ready to leave.
Yeah.
So there's all of our utilities. Now, in order to have Airbnb, we would only be doing that 6 months or 5 months out of the year when we're not here. So we would have our expenses increase for the whole year, and then we would only have income coming in for 5 months. And this is not a high vacation area.
No,
So-
this is just a community. It's
There-
a little town.
Yeah, a little town farming community out in the country. There are some Airbnbs in town, and they do get people. When we first bought this house and we had to renovate it, we stayed in Airbnb for what, 6 weeks
Oh, at least.
For 2 months?
It was lovely.
while we were renovating
Probably
this.
at least 2 months, yeah.
But I would expect if we have this set up as an Airbnb, I would be surprised if we rented it out more than 2 weekends a month or maybe 1 week a month,
Yeah, it just depends.
just
Yeah.
because it's not a high volume area. So to increase the expenses for the whole year and to only get revenue in for half the year and probably only half the time because it's going to be a lot of vacancy rate, it just doesn't quite make a lot of financial sense. And then add to that, we would have to have some sort of a Airbnb or property manager down
absolutely.
here because we wouldn't be
Absolutely.
here to do it, to make sure that the people left, make sure that the house is clean. The cleaning team would come in, but the tenants pay for the cleaning team. But you still have to have a manager to make sure all that happens.
So yeah, someone has to make sure the property is okay and that people get checked in and out okay and that, it's cleaned in between.
Well, and another thing too is that 6 months out of the year, this is our home. We got all our stuff in here. Would you want somebody in your house, in your home? If we were going to do that, we would, like I got all my clothes in here. My closet's full. My dresser's full. If we were going to do that, we would have to pack all that stuff up for the summer and store it someplace.
Oh yeah, the house would have to be prepared to be an Airbnb, which means that what we do have here that's personal would have to somehow be packed up and put someplace. Which, to be quite honest, I'm 70 years old. That sounds like a drag.
Yeah. I think Airbnb is a great thing if it's
Yes.
a dedicated place. If you have an apartment in your basement that is only for that, or if you have another house or something like that.
Yeah.
But for your own home, for only a few months out of the year, I just don't want to get into all that.
Well, we really like knowing that if we need to come down here, we absolutely just can. We're not going to be interrupting anybody or interfering with anyone. We're going to be coming back down for our first really hot visit to Florida this year because we want to
summer.
vote in the primary.
Yeah, we got to come down in August for the primary election.
All of my friends down here go, "You're coming in August? You're gonna get to see what Florida summer is really all about."
But we're only going to be here for a few days, and we got AC in our house.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, we'll be fine. Sorry about the coughing. I'm just getting over being extremely sick, but I'm getting better.
So this was a very long video to say, bottom line, when we looked at all the numbers It just doesn't make financial sense for us to rent it out Airbnb for 5 or 6 months in the summer.
If we really desperately tried to get every bit of money out of this place that we could, then it's hard for us to use it as a place to come to for the winter, because it would be more complication than it's really worth. And to me, the bottom line isn't that I want to make sure I'm making all the money I can out of this investment property. It's still an investment, even if we're just using it when we come to Florida.
Right. It's not an investment like a rental property that's bringing cash flow, but it is a solid asset that appreciates over time rather than the money just sitting in the bank.
Well, and as long as we can actually afford it reasonably and can make sure we can stay on top of everything, I'm just as happy to leave this place available for us or for friends or family that would want to come down here.
But once we sunk the initial cash investment into buying it now, because of the tax advantages of living here, it doesn't cost us anything on a monthly basis to maintain this house.
No, actually, when I look at how I have to pay for everything and how I've got it set up, we are not having to pay extra to have this house under the circumstances.
Yeah.
We have a little bit of expense moving back and forth twice a year. It's not that major, but we have a little bit of that. But other than that, if you know our channel at all, you know that we recently had a very drastic change in our income. One of the businesses that we've been working with for a very long time, disappeared, and so I can honestly say that even with a much smaller income, because our expenses are low, and I've tried to budget everything pretty carefully, we're still doing okay.
Yeah, when Thrive Life went away, we first both, I think, had fear that we were going to have to sell this house, that we wouldn't be able to afford it.
I was just afraid that we could not maintain this house.
But that's not the case, because we're not spending anything additional. Because if we sold this, we'd have to move back to Virginia and start paying the state tax, and that's the same as the monthly expenses here.
Now, honestly, of course, the percentage of saving state tax is less when you don't make as much.
Right.
Right. But it's still enough that as long as I'm careful and I keep ahead on things, and we don't do anything like really extravagant, we are, thank the Lord, we really are making it on what we have left.
Right.
And we talk so much on this channel about being debt-free, about trying to live beneath your means, about trying to be careful with how you spend your money so you'll have the money you need when you need it. We've talked about that a lot. We did not mean to become a case study, but we certainly have. And I can tell you that just some of the things that we've put into place have meant that we can still come down here for the winter, even though we lost well more than half of our income. Yeah. And so, in fact, I'll be honest with you, we lost at least 70% of our income. But I've just, I've had everything in place. I've rearranged kind of how we do the bookkeeping, but we are still able to make it. And it's still affordable to have the house down here, especially because we don't pay the Florida state income tax, because they don't have it.
Now, if we were going to just spend January and February down here, the worst part of the winter, and Airbnb it out for 10 months out of the year, then it might possibly be financially feasible.
Yeah,
I haven't run the numbers, because we don't want to spend just 2 months here.
I can't. I really, I always learn this every year when I go back to Virginia for Christmas. I have to get, by the time we usually come down about mid-October, and by the time you're getting into late October and early November, there's just going to be enough cold weather. Yeah. And then we head back up. We would have been gone already, but I got really sick, so we're still going to be going soon. And so it just gets me out of the cold. Yeah. And so I'm happy. I miss the family. I miss the kids. I'm really happy to spend at least 6 months a year here in Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love it down here.
So, do you have anything else to add?
I don't think so.
Okay. So there it is. Bottom line, we looked at the numbers. We seriously looked at the numbers to see if that could work. And it just doesn't make sense financially, so we decided against it.
Well, we didn't need it financially.
That's true, too.
Yeah.
Well, even if we did need it, I don't think we'd make any additional money if we did it.
Yeah, we'd have to see how that would work out.
It might be a break-even point.
Well, and it just takes a lot of of prep and planning, and it's a whole different thing
Right.
than the situation we have now.
Yeah.
So
So there you go. You've decided not to Airbnb it. So thanks for watching.
yes, live simple.
Live free. You be blessed. We'll see you next time.
See you guys probably
Probably from
in
Virginia.
Virginia. Okay.
All right.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.